I'm going to talk about my relationship with Spinoza and how I found Spinoza and how Spinoza changed my life. At the age of 30, I met my teacher, the late Gregory Grover. I'll always be thankful and indebted to him for allowing me to participate in his group. I met him in West Hollywood in 1970, near Los Angeles. And at that time, I was rather successful as a hairstylist and salon owner, and I was married. And I seemed to have everything, the American dream. At that age, and during the early 70s and 60s, it was easy to buy a home with a salary that you had, a living wage, which is impossible today. I was married to a very attractive woman. We had a home, we had a business, but I was not happy, even though it seemed to have everything. And yet, what was missing? I found in myself a deep dissatisfaction with how I was thinking. I had a deep feeling of inferiority, a weak mind, even though I was successful. I was able to perform as a hairstylist and to manage. I was good at that. But to be able to communicate with others who were, say, intelligent, I felt inferior. I felt inadequate. I dropped out of high school at 10th grade, and college was out of the question. I had a problem focusing and studying. Again, my mind was very weak. Low IQ. I felt very stupid, and I was ignorant. But yet, I was able to be a hairstylist, a successful one. But yet, deeply, I felt dissatisfied with where I was mentally. And I read many self-help books, and nothing helped. After I finished the book, I didn't feel changed. But when I met my teacher, he says something very importantly. He says, it's possible to become a master of oneself, a master of your emotions. And that really helped me. I felt, wow, I want that. I want to be a master of myself. I want to master my anger. I want to master my feeling of inferiority. What do I need to do? Well, I was with my teacher for over 20 years. And after I left my teacher, I wanted to start a group because I felt there was changes in me that were very good. I felt much more confident in myself. And I was in hairstyling and the beauty business for 25 years. But after I decided to go into the real estate business because I felt I needed to stimulate my mind, to force my mind to be in reality, to study contracts, to communicate these ideas in these contracts with my buyers and sellers in real estate. And that forced my mind to apply itself. And this is the key. I learned how to apply my mind because my teacher constantly challenged me to take a feeling that I had that I wanted to answer a question that he had. And I would express my feeling, and he'd always say to me, Lewis, bring that feeling up to an idea. Bring that feeling up to an idea. And over time, I was able to do it. It was a great feeling, a great experience, great progress to develop a feeling into an idea. However, working with Spinoza, I realized I wanted to start a group after I left my teacher, and I realized I did not understand enough of Spinoza. When I got into real estate, it forced me to apply my mind, and that's when I began to put in a new effort to study the ethics. Now, I would say I'm probably one of the few individuals that have mastered Spinoza's ethics. Still, there's a lot to learn and a lot I don't know. But what I do know can change your life. What do I mean? What is it to change? Most of us live in fear. Most of us are motivated by fear. Religious organizations and even our government motivate all of us, by fear. I think Trump right now uses fear to get people to support him. Fear of immigrants, fear of being gay or being a transgender, fear of the Democrats allowing immigrants to come into this country to take your jobs. Or Democrats are grooming children to be gay or transgender. So fear is a great motivation to instill in people to be obedient and to be under their control. So this is what is happening today. Interesting thing is Spinoza lived during the 17th century. At that time, the government was under the powers of a monarch. And also, a religious group had a hand in politics. So Spinoza wrote a book called The Theological Political Treatise, and the book was wanting to help people apply rational thinking to lift themselves up from being obedient and under the control of the religious groups or the monarch, to begin to learn how to think. And that was the whole idea of Spinoza, how to think, how to improve one's understanding, and how to be free of fear and other evil emotions. So my change came after being with my teacher for over 20 years and began to apply myself with Spinoza. I had a lot of work. I have a lot of hate, a lot of anger in me. Why? Because that's where I grew up. My father was always expressing his dissatisfaction with when things didn't work out the way he wanted. He would take out his anger on his boys. He had 7 boys, and I was out of a family of 11, I was number 9. And so there was my parents, my mother and father, was in the mode of survival. They weren't in a mode of caring and loving and sharing and helping. Survival. And my father at times did very well. He was a grower of lilies, keller lilies. He did that very well. But yet he didn't know how to manage his money. So many times we were poor, without food, without Christmas. Would you believe that? But here I am, age of 84. I've come to a new character, and that character is love. I still have hate and anger, yes, but I also have love. Love of myself, love of my understanding, love of my appreciation of Spinoza. And also Gurdjieff. I study Gurdjieff, and I've mastered Gurdjieff. If you are familiar with Gurdjieff, I use Gurdjieff, Ouspensky's book, In Search of the Miraculous, as a stepping stone for you to understand the reality that Gurdjieff says that we are asleep. Our mind is asleep, and we are living a life of robotic. We are robotic, automatic beings, biological robotic beings. That's who we are. We emulate, we imitate, and we live from our lower nature, the memory and the ego. That's where we are, and that's where I've been most of my life. But I'm now, through Spinoza and Gurdjieff, I found a new life, a life of wisdom, a life of understanding. That's why I'm putting these videos together. They're not perfect. I don't speak a perfect language. I have a weakness with grammar, but that's okay. I have a strong sense of myself, and I have something that I think you could use. How do you improve your understanding to come to a deeper sense of self, a stronger sense of self, where you're not under the control of fear. You're not under control and being obedient, but you begin to think for yourself. Ask a question. And that's what I want from you, is to improve your character, improve your sight, improve how you see yourself and how you see others. Thank you for listening.